Hi, I'm Rosh from Energy Matters. Welcome to our podcast, Road to Zero, where we dive headfirst into all things renewable. Join me as we chat with industry experts, tech specialists, and some of your favorite TV and radio personalities, asking the renewable energy questions that you want answers to. Our goal, a zero carbon future. Today, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Sebastian, who is a national sales manager for Fronius Australia. Sebastian, how are you this morning?
Really good, Roshan. Thanks for having me today. Quite a
Mate,
nice weather, I think, in Melbourne, so I can't complain.
I know. We've had an absolutely freezing cold winter. And look, it pains me to say we've probably got a very sunny summer ahead, but we kind of know that's climate change has played a massive part in that. So you never know what you're going to get these days. You know, it could be anything.
Definitely, especially with Melbourne. Sometimes it rains. They say that you need to have an umbrella, your singlet, and your thongs if you need to go out to the beach, right? So everything in one day.
I think Melbourne's the only city I've ever lived in where, it could be 32 degrees at like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, 11 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And then by 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, it's dropped to 18 degrees. And overcast. It's like, how does it happen?
Oh, we like
Oh,
this Spain. We like it.
we do. Keeps life interesting. So, Sebastian, before we get stuck into Feronius and obviously finding out about, the company that you work for, I was keen to find out a bit more about yourself. I mean, can you give myself and the audience a bit of background on yourself, your journey to date and how you ended up in the renewable energy industry?
Oh, that's actually a funny story. So I came here, I think, nearly actually 10 years ago for
Yep,
my studies. And of course, as a student, so I studied mechatronics engineering, which is basically a mix of mechanical and electrical
yep,
engineering. And throughout, let's say, my whole education, I had basically to find a job to be able to graduate an engineering job. And funny enough, I met with the MD at Fronius Australia,
wow,
and it was quite a funny conversation because I was like, okay, is there any opportunity at Fronius? I want to learn a bit about the company, and also it was a requirement for my degree to graduate. So I told the MD I will do whatever you want, so I can work for free. I'm ready for it. So he took me on board, and I worked in the repair center. So we have a repair center based in Melbourne. I
yep,
spent basically around a year around the guys. You really get to know the technology itself because they are the guys who have hands on the product. I work also on side projects also for the company. So as I was doing my studies, and then when I graduated, actually I didn't know what would happen because they took me part time. I'm like, okay, what's the next step? Graduating, finding a job, more responsibilities, right?
yep,
And luckily, I was offered a role in tech support. The reason why was Fronius was one of the companies who had the monitoring card inbuilt inside our product, and
yes.
a lot of installers were calling us. So they were like, "Oh, a lot of calls. We need someone." So I jumped into this role. I didn't last long. I'm not sure if it is because usually I'm a bit loud on the phone. Every time I was on the phone, they all closed the door. I'm like, is it me or is it someone else? But I'm pretty loud most of the time. So they were like,
Yeah,
look, you're loud. You like to talk to people. So how about you try the application engineering role? So this is more like a sales type of role, like sales and
yep.
technical. And I did like maybe two years within this role, and then they were like, okay, we need to build from the ground the whole sales team. How about you try the national sales manager role, which I'm currently in. So it's been quite a journey with Fronius. Met a lot of great people over the years, a lot of mentors, and still learning quite a lot at the moment. So yeah, it's quite a great company. I can't complain.
That's absolutely fantastic. I mean, I've been familiar with Fronius in my entire time in the industry. I've been in solar now since 2009, and I came across Fronius early on. And Fronius is just such a powerhouse of a brand, and it's like it's there's so much going for it, but it just seems to be like it really likes the impression I've always had is it does invest in its people, but its level of technology and it's kind of always pushing the boundaries in terms of technology, making it better, making it more consumer friendly. You know, it's a fantastic brand. I mean, if you were just to summarize what you love the most about Fronius, what would it be? I mean, what would be the key factors that have really had you start your career at Fronius and continually develop and grow within Fronius?
For me, I would say it's the values and also the people-to-people relationship. So one thing that I really kind of learn a lot from them is when I go to Fronius International, even if it is a big business, when you compare it, let's say from Australia to there, over there, it's like Fronius everywhere, where we manufacture our product. Basically, the site also in Wales, you can see the badge everywhere. But in Australia, we have one office here in Melbourne and one office in Perth.
Yeah,
When you look at how I would say we talk to each other and how we do business also, it's not only, let's say, transaction, right? For us, it's the relationship, this connection that we build with installers. It's not, okay, buy our product and that's it. No, 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 no. We have a vision, and this vision is basically 100% renewable, which we call it 24 hours of sun. So for me, it's really like how we treat each other at Fronius, and the people culture is something which is different. And I think that's what you were saying. You met a lot of you know a lot of people at Fronius, right? And
yeah.
this is really engraved in us. And that's actually why also it's hard to find new candidates also for different roles, because we need people to be able to join with the same values, like meet halfway. Yeah, in a way.
Yeah, I hear you, and I think what's present in this conversation as well is, you know, and even going delving a little bit more back into your background. I mean, the fact that you actually raised, you know, working with technology guys in a sort of repair center. I mean, first of all, I mean the fact that, you know, an international organization has a repair center in Melbourne is phenomenal, because it basically shows you that when products are coming back, you guys are onto it. The fact you actually have you had software in your inverters early on, which means you can identify problems, is huge, because it means that you want to what anything that's going on with a product in terms of R&D and development and like problem solving. You're there, you know, you're there. And the third thing really is the fact you're supporting your installers. Because from a consumer's point of view, for any consumers watching this, or people who haven't gone solar or who haven't gone solar want an inverter, you know, you're buying the inverter through the retailer, right? They're quoting you for panels, they're quoting you for an inverter. And once they've sold it to you, they've sold it to you. But the question that always remains in the mind is, what happens if something goes wrong? You know, and is it like you buy something from Amazon and you're like, I have to send this back to Amazon now? You can't exactly deinstall an inverter and send it back, right? And the same thing applies to the television, right? It's the same deal. It probably costs the same amount of cash, like it's more expensive than an inverter. But in this scenario, if something goes wrong, you need to know that you're going to be looked after, and you have to go to the installer. Now, the installer's good at installing, but you know they're not like, you know, they know what they know, but they don't know everything. So they need to go to someone too. And the fact that you guys are so accessible to the retailer, to the installer, and able to support them and diagnose and troubleshoot, I mean, that is phenomenal. All right. And that really is one of the key differences between your bog standard inverters and the quality that Fronius is. It's not just a brand name, it's all the support that goes with it.
I think that's something that we invested a lot throughout the years. So when I started at Fronius, there was only 3 engineers. So it's actually engineers behind the phone, right? It's not just like a call center.
Yeah.
And now I think we're going to 15 and trying to go to 17 people, because a solar system is becoming more complex. And
Yeah.
installers, the people who are basically installing all those products for the end user, they don't want to mess around. They don't want to spend a lot of time, and they want to feel confident that the person talking to them knows their craft, right? And that's like the second part is training like engineers to know how our product works. Also takes a bit of time to the level that we want. I
Yeah.
think sometimes when I talk to installers, they say, "Hey Seb, like um, this issues or this issue took a bit of time," and then we look at, okay, who is dealing after the cases, and then we try to make them better. And again, it's this people to people relationship. We understand this is important at Fronius. And I think that's what also made us successful. If you talk to anyone, they say Fronius, the support, it's always there.
No, that's fantastic. It's definitely reassuring. A bit back on Fronius. So, whereabouts, I know, but just for anyone watching today, whereabouts is Fronius based and where are the inverters actually manufactured?
Yes, so we're based in Austria. So sorry for my, I always need to be careful with my accent. People think that I'm saying Australia, but Austria in Europe.
Yeah.
So at the moment, we manufacture all our inverter, we say in Europe. We have a big, let's say, manufacturing plant, which we actually expanded to 1.5 size in Sattlet, in Austria. And of course, we have a lot of buildings around, let's say, the country there. Globally, we have also an office here, as I mentioned, in Melbourne. But I would say all our main offices are in the manufacturing, our servicing, everything is based out of Austria. Yeah.
Well, and I'm assuming you've been to Austria to see the headquarters.
Yes, it's always good to go there. I remember the first time I went here in Australia. Basically, we're based in Tullamarine, right? And we have one also in Perth. So
Yeah.
when you come here, there's like 50 people, right, in the building, around 50 people. When you go there, it's as if you're walking into a bank. Like there's so many desks, so many people. I'm like, oh my god, it's very different. And our showroom there is, I think, next level. One of my goals is to try to bring like a showroom like what we have there here. I think you will be
Oh,
blown away if you see what's in there.
it would be absolutely fantastic. A whole bunch of colleagues I know visited Austria recently, and I was just looking at their photos on both LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, and it looked incredible. I mean, yes, it's amazing to go to the manufacturing plant and see the things put together, but it was just so elegant and beautiful. And clearly, like we'll talk about the carbon footprint of the business in a little while, but it was really, really reassuring to see how Fronius is, yeah, we make converters, but we're really following our own methodology, not methodology, but we're doing the right thing from an environmental perspective as well from the beginning. So we'll talk about that in a bit. I guess quick question for you, just about Feronius before we move on to the fun stuff. What makes Feronius such a premium brand? I mean, what do you think it is? What is that? Because when you look at premium, right? In Australia, we have the methodology is look really good quality, but not crazy expensive, or we have premium. All right. And Feronius is affordable to everybody, but it really is like in the mind of an installer and probably consumer, a premium product. What is that? Why is that, do you think?
Well, I think I already talk about the values, and people listening to us already understand like what type of companies Fronius is. The second part is the technology itself. So I think you're a big fan of cars, right? What would be your dream cars if you have to pick one? Let's say one which you can afford, and then you have the dream car. Like what would it be?
Look, if I could pick a dream car, it would be an Aston Martin, an EV Aston Martin. Okay, I don't know.
EV Aston.
An EV Aston Martin. That'd be the dream.
Well, that's. I think you're aiming really high, and I have no doubt you will have a chance to go there. Well, in terms of where Fronius is with, let's say, our welding technology, because Fronius doesn't only do inverters, we do also welders and battery chargers for forklifts. So the
Yeah.
technology, we're basically pushing the limits there. And what do I mean by that? So I think you heard about SpaceX, what they're
Yes.
achieving in their area. You heard also the latest rocket ship that India sent to the moon. I guess you're also a fan of Audis, like I think a lot
Yes.
of people
I have
are
an
with
Audi.
Iron Man, right? The
Yeah.
car, the i8, right? And BMW, Teslas, and the list goes on. So in terms of technology with our welders, that's something that we invested a lot. So people were saying before you couldn't weld aluminum and steel together, and that's like a technology that we developed. So when you talk about our welders, we are kind of the Rolls Royce of welders. So a lot
Gotcha.
of companies uses our product. Then all this experience is also shared with our inverters. So there's a lot of, I would say nowadays, more software. So the inverters going more on the software side of things, and we're really planning in the future. So just to give you an example, one of the most common inverter in the market is a snap inverter, right? I
Yeah.
think you will show one of the inverters on the show there. And if you look at this inverter, it has been manufactured in what 2013, so 10 years ago, and at the moment, there's some regulation that the DNSP, so everyone who owns the pole, are putting some rules right now saying, hey, you need to meet those rules. You need to be able to control those inverters remotely. A product which has been made in 2013 is compliant now. You know, it's 10 years that we're
Wow.
designing our product. So you can see that we put a lot of effort into future-proofing the unit, and also the way we manufacture the inverter. Everything is in-house, so the quality control can be way easier for us, right? And I think maybe lastly, it's also the culture at Fronius. So this throwaway culture is not really for us, because if you look at our product, we want to be able to fix it as fast as possible. Again, it goes back to the service and the customer satisfaction. Because every time your solar system is down, it means that you're not making money. And this is
Yeah.
an issue for us, right? So we look at the bigger picture from our side and really invest into quality components, quality procedures.
No, completely. And to be fair, and what you've hit, that mentality once again is absolutely bang on. It's even like with my Mac, my laptop, right? I use Apple. I've always used Apple. I love Apple, and MacBooks I've had in the past. When something goes wrong with your MacBook, it isn't the opportunity to replace it and to buy a new one. You take it back to Apple, and a lot of the time they can fix it. All right, they can actually open it up, take it apart, add something new, add some extra RAM, and actually maintain that product, so you constantly get to use the product, right? And I've always associated that mentality like the same with yourselves. I mean, it's when something goes wrong, it's like, yeah, you need a new inverter, mate. Take it off, throw it away, and let's put another one. It's fix it. There's an opportunity to repair, and that's reuse, right? And it's a key thing around sustainability and carbon reduction is the ability to reuse something. And as you said, the throwaway culture is so prevalent, in today's society. It's ridiculous, right? That causes a big problem, right? And that's one of the larger problems we have with landfill. So the fact you guys don't do that, I love. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Seb, I want to talk to you about TV, right? So, we got you guys in the TV show, which I'm really excited about. We did some filming recently for upcoming season of Renovate or Rebuild. For those of you who didn't see Renovate or Rebuild, last year it was season 1. It was amazing. It was on Nine Life on the Nine Network. Went really, really well. About 400,000 viewers per episode, and it won an award, a Banksia Sustainability Award for Communications, which is incredible. Season 2 is being filmed as we speak, and it goes to air around March, April next year. Fronius, we're really excited about to have as one of the brands featured in one of the episodes, which will be awesome. The filming was really, really cool. We had some fun. We borrowed a car from, I think it was Melbourne. Was it Melbourne BMW? I think it was. And it was a lovely, lovely vehicle, but an amazing installation as well. Before we get into the equipment that we actually saw for Fronius, what had you guys choose to get involved? I mean, what was the thing that your team at Fronius said? You know what, we have to do this.
Well, looking at where you guys are going and educating, I think the end user, that was something which was very attractive on our side. You don't only provide, let's say, cost-efficient solution, you're providing the right solution, right, to the customer needs, of course. So for us, it was very attractive to be also able to reach out to end users, because for us, we're more a B2B business, but we're exploring also B2C so that customers can know a bit and learn a bit about Fronius. Still being a family business, we really want to have this connection with people, right? That's one of the big reason.
Which is absolutely bang on. And to be fair, I mean, the reason, where Energy Matters is so heavily invested in these TV shows is, consumers need to know what's available, right? And this industry, I've been involved in this industry for about 14 years, and I was involved as a retailer and installer to start with. And unfortunately, when you turn up to someone's home or business and you talk to them about solar power equipment, you're only talking to them about the stuff that you have in stock, or the stuff you have available, or the stuff that you want to install for a variety of different reasons. A lot of the time it's margin related or it's profitability related, unfortunately, or it could just be that you have a preference. But it's like anything, a consumer needs to know everything that's available. They need to understand what the technology is, how it works, and have a look at it and see it in use on a beautiful home or in a different environment. And I think it's really, really important now, especially when you look at all the horror stories over the last 10, 15 years where people haven't really got what they thought they were going to get. The technology hasn't really worked in a lot of cases. They've either decided to go really, really cheap, and unfortunately nothing's worked. It's broken down really quickly. So I think it's just really important that, the end consumer, be it a business or a home, actually just gets to understand the technology and understand the different brands. And it's going to be pretty exciting having you guys on there. And that's why we do it. So tell us a little bit more about the products you'll be featuring on the show.
So actually, this site is kind of the perfect, or we call it the Fronius dream world in a way. So the
Yeah,
customer has it's a basically free phase property. I think you guys will see the house. It's just one actually. That's my dream home,
yeah,
with
it's
a
beautiful.
nice aquarium inside. I think that was the one of the highlight. So in
Yeah,
terms of the whole setup itself, we have two snap inverters, SIMOs. So usually it's for the three phase site, and
yeah,
also we have a Cymogen 24, which is our latest release on the three phase. So all three of them are 10 kilowatt inverters. So this customer has 30 kilowatt
that's
worth of
amazing.
inverters. That's crazy. That's crazy. And they also decided to go down the battery side of things. So they had two stack, right? Two towers there. Plus, also they didn't stop there. They also have a car charger also sitting down there. So looking at the whole, let's say all the product range, right? Being able to talk to each other so that they had the best out of the whole system, I think was kind of the magic part out of it. But I was very impressed. I remember because of course in any business you do like meetings, right? We did like an internal meeting, and then the marketing team said, "Hey, have you guys saw this picture?" And everyone's jaw just dropped. It's just so beautiful with the with the black with the black board at the back. You can see
Yeah,
that they really put a lot of effort on the aesthetics of the system itself, which is very
completely.
impressive.
It actually visually looks stunning. And when I walked in and saw you guys, I was like, this is almost like a Feronia showroom. I don't think I've ever seen so much technology of one brand on one area. But the way it was presented, as you said, it was beautiful. It actually was. It's one of those things you can take a beer out during a barbecue, sit down with your mates around it, and just have a look at have a look at it because it looked amazing. Can you quickly describe? Obviously, we've covered off this like you had three inverters, three 10 kilowatt inverters, including the Gen 24, which does have some crazy cool technology associated with it. Lots of battery technology, which is stackable, so stackable batteries, so you can expand according to your requirements, and an EV charger. How would you, if you could just summarize all that technology into like a solution for a typical home, how would that particular solution help a household? What access does it give that property moving forward?
Well, like summarizing this will be a bit of a challenge. Well, I think it's more about increasing the self-consumption of the house. So what you want
Yeah,
to do is harvest as much as you can from your panels, and then redistribute the energy so that you don't use as much from the grid. That's basically what they did. The
yeah,
interesting part with them is when they get the EV in, then that's where it's like a different game because they have two big batteries there, but then you need to think about the car batteries and how everything talks to each other. So looking at the bigger picture, I think also talking to the owners, being independent from the grid was also a big factor, but trying to basically make the most out of this energy, this free energy which is out there. That's basically the benefit when you have a solar system. You don't need, let's say, the whole battery, the whole ecosystem straight away, but start somewhere. And with, let's say, starting only with the solar, it has a lot of advantages, which is first of all, this is the first step. People do it, of course, for a dollar value, but also doing something good for the environment in a way. I think
completely.
this would be like a summary of how they make the most out of the system.
Absolutely. I mean, and for me, that particular installation is everything this podcast is all about, like Road to Zero. So it's basically having a zero carbon, net zero. Essentially they're producing all the electricity they could possibly need for that property, 30 kilowatt solar system, and then they're using a whole bunch of it during the daytime, storing a ton of it as well for use for the evenings and for early mornings, and able to charge the car. And in the future, when bidirectional charging happens, they can charge that car throughout the daytime. Like if they're working from home, charge the car, max it out, and then they can support the household if they need to. If it's a crazy hot evening or crazy cold and need extra heating. So it really does demonstrate that. And that aquarium is massive, right? So we were looking at that aquarium thinking that's going to be consuming some serious power. So fair play, right? They're keeping those fish in a really great environment, and in keeping them nice and sort of alive, essentially, just by carrying them throughout the daytime. So it's absolutely epic. So I can't wait for that to be on TV because it's going to look beautiful. But it really is massive credit to how your ecosystem works and how all the technology helps each other. And really, then you do have that empowerment. Like you connected to the grid, but you really don't need to be. Because even if there's a blackout, your system is still working, right? The batteries are charged, the solar system, the Gen 24 is kicking in and assisting that whole process. So you almost have that blackout protection going on as well. So it's a beautiful thing. So check out our website, guys. Jump onto Energy Matters website. We've got a full page of Fronius on there, and obviously jump on the Fronius website too, and have a read, have a look at it. So what I want to quickly do, we're almost done, but before we are, All Energy is coming up. So All Energy in October. It's the biggest. The biggest show in the year for the industry, for exhibitors, for consumers, for retailers, to find out everything that's about for renewable energy. I'm assuming you guys are exhibiting again this year.
We need to be there every single year. We need to be there. It's not even a question anymore. Fronius is there. Definitely. But yeah, we're pretty excited to catch up with everyone. Of course, there's like a lot of different shows around the country, but as you said, this one is the biggest one. So that's where everyone travels to come and look at the latest technology, what things are new with the product. So I can't wait. I can tell you that.
Look, it's fantastic, and it is, as you said, it's great just to catch up with everyone because it's like socially, it's a big industry, but it's really a small industry as well. So everyone knows each other, and it's great to see everybody. But the technology that'll be on show will be phenomenal, and it's getting exciting. Solar power used to be pretty boring and the least sexy thing in the market because it's just like a panel on your roof and a box in your wall. But now the stuff that's coming out looks nice, all right? Aesthetically, it's stunning. Like your EV charger, for example, looks nice. And your batteries and your inverters, to be fair, are attractive looking bits of kit as well. So it'll be fun. Are you showcasing anything? Like, can you share anything like new that you're going to be showcasing? Or is it?
I'm going to telling you some secrets. What is our main focus at the moment is basically our new 8 and 10s single phase. So what we're seeing in Australia is an increase in terms of system sizes. So we're showing our new Gen 24 8 and 10s. And one of the things which is also new with our Gen 24 series, it's at the moment only on the single phase. It's basically the upgrade function. So for example, if you want to get a battery down the track, you can decide. You can say, okay, I can do like an AC couple, like a Tesla, for example, and you don't need to pay for any upgrade. But if you want to do a DC couple, then you pay for the feature. So that's something which is new, and we don't want to lock anyone into let's say just using the Fronius product, because again, this road to zero, right, which is very important for all of us. We want to speed this process. So I would say this would be one of the biggest part on our stand. And also in terms of servicing, as we said, it's very important. So we'll display a bit about how the Gen 24 is getting serviced also.
No, that's fantastic. And just to finish off, I mean, what would you love most to see from Fronius next? I mean, what would be the latest product, the next product they could launch that you would absolutely love to see, if it could be anything?
Well, I would. I have a long list. I can tell you our R&D has a long list from Australia because we have a lot of requirements. One thing which I can't wait is basically software. It's not actually hardware. It's called Stormcloud. I think we haven't decided yet on the web, but if, for example, there's an event happening soon, you can control everything via an app. So I think that would be the next big thing, but I can't wait. And also bigger inverters. So we have, let's say, 50 to 100 kilowatt at the moment in the commercial space, but like a 30 kilowatt inverter, I think, will be the next part. And I would say those will be the main things. Yeah.
No, fantastic. And just before we finish off, just on the zero carbon future, I mean, we discussed at the very beginning of the call the fluctuation in weather in Australia, and there's a lot of talk about I suppose the skeptics out there would say, well, this is going to happen anyway, right? It doesn't matter what we're doing with our carbon releasing and like burning coal and burning oil. These things and global warming was always going to happen. And then obviously the people like ourselves who are educated on the subject, but more so, we're not scientists, but we kind of look at the research and have a good understanding of how things work. Disagree. I mean, what are your thoughts on climate change? What do you see playing out at the moment?
Well, I think there is a start. There's a good start at the moment. When you're talking to end consumers, you're doing things more for the environment, right? Because before it was mainly for a dollar value. So we can see a transition in people's mind, and those things takes time. In terms of the actual goal itself, I feel like it's not really enough because maybe I'll go a bit outside topic. I went to the dentist recently, and when you have a problem but you don't want to address it in a way, that's basically me
Yeah,
at the dentist. I know I have an issue, and I'm like, oh, I will delay it as much as I can. I feel like other countries are way ahead of us, especially on the EV space. There's not a lot of, let's say, chargers around the countries around the country at the moment, and also the targets. I think we are. I actually checked the numbers a couple of weeks ago. We are kind of falling a bit behind. Thinking about
yeah,
Austria being like the one of the most developed countries, I think we should be leading the way. And if you look at how much sun we have there, it just makes sense. The one thing we need to be careful though, which I give credit to I would say some of the haters out there about climate change, we need to make sure that when we try to fix this issue of, let's say, of the CO2 emission, that we do the right thing from the start. So what do I mean is when it comes to the product, right? And I'm not sure if you've seen this documentary on Netflix. It's called Planet of the Human. We basically talk about renewable, how actually it's greenwashing. I think that's the scary part. If we're doing
yeah,
something to greenwash the whole country, I think then it's not the best approach, because then we create an issue. It's basically also another example is I saw this guy having a Tesla, and then he charged a Tesla using a generator, and the generator is powered by petrol. Of course, if
yeah,
you think this way, it's not the most sustainable way. But if you basically use the clean energy to charge your car, then it is clean. Now the question is, how are those products made? Is it 100% clean or not? And is there transparency? Are manufacturers willing to show how they're manufacturing their product, right?
yeah.
I think that's the most interesting part, if that
Completely.
answers
And
the question.
no, absolutely. And it's like, when I often speak from the like zero carbon future, I mean, how does that happen? And it's like everything has to start with green electricity. Everything has to be manufactured using, renewable energy technology. And that's the starting point. So even if you're going to mine, you need to pull out resources, out minerals out the ground that we need to use in terms of like metals and whatnot. That has to be done using renewable energy technology. Extract manufacturing first with renewable, which means we're already then light years ahead in terms of carbon, right? Carbon release. And then if your entire grid is supported by green electricity and green energy, then you can charge your car up anywhere and charge your EVs up. Okay, so you're actually generally charging from renewable energy technology. You're 100% correct about the EV chargers, and even we bought an. So you mentioned Audi. We bought an Audi during COVID, and there was very few cars. Our car died, like literally died, so we had no choice, and we still needed. We got kid, so we needed the transportation. So we thought look, we need to buy a car. We bought an Audi. We bought a hybrid, so half battery, half petrol. But we couldn't, with the resistance to buying an EV, because I wanted an EV, we couldn't find one because there was nothing available, and it was going to take over a year to get one in the country, and even worse with COVID. But then secondly, we live in an apartment that we rent, and there's nowhere to charge it. And even now, we're coming up to the next year is the third year where we could now trade the car in and get another one. And we want to definitely want to buy an electric vehicle, but it's like there's nowhere to charge. And the public charges that are available are like Woolworths that trickle charge. That means you only make up the charge that you use to get there in the first place. You're not you could be there for half an hour. It's not a fast charger. So it's where do you take your car? And when I was in Europe in October last year, we're in Spain. we did a road trip we started in Seville and we drove around the coastline and finished up in Barcelona. And every single city, town that we went to, there was chargers everywhere, like empty. There were so many EV chargers around on the street. There were no one was charging up. And it was like, how is it so different in Australia? I mean, where it's like you can't see any charges, right? And we have all this landmass, which means we get so much renewable energy technology. But you know what? So you're 100% bang on, Seb. I mean, there is so much that needs to be done from a government level. All right, to make this happen, and that from a consumer's point of view, if you can, you should. And if you can buy an EV and you can make it work with your company, your business is willing to install a charger and solar power on their roof, fantastic. You know what? That will just be a great starting point. If you can have solar power, you definitely should. Yeah, we need to do it.
Come on, Roshan. You went only halfway. Why did you go hybrid? When people ask me, I'm like, even my brother is thinking to go like fully EV, and he was like, oh, actually, I'm not 100% sure. Just do 100% EV. You won't regret it. And this is the thing. That's the offer to you. If you need to charge your car, come to the Fronius office. We have like some chargers, so we'll make space.
I actually will be now, and I don't think you're that far away from me either, to be fair. So yeah.
So why not? Why not? you can't hide behind anything now. You can't say you don't have a charger.
There you go.
But
there you go.
I think it will increase because like businesses are putting more chargers now.
Yeah.
I think having only two, like for example, I live in the north of Melbourne, and there's like a shopping center. There's only 2 chargers, and I'm like, this parking can take thousands of cars. That just doesn't make sense, right? So I think there will be an increase, definitely.
No, definitely, for sure, mate. Well, look, Seb, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Very insightful and fun. And look, I can't wait to see you in person at All Energy next month, which will be awesome. So thank you very much.
Definitely. Thank you, Roshan, for having me, and hope to see you soon. Bye.
Thanks, mate. So, guys, before we finish up, feel free to jump onto our social media, check out all the different content that we're releasing, including the updates on Renovate or Rebuild that is coming out next year. If you have yet to go solar power, please consider it. The starting point is just to get a quote for solar. So jump onto our website, submit a request for a quote. And look, just have a look, what's available in your local area and how much is it going to cost you. There are loads of payment plans available. There's still rebates available too. And once again, consider Fronius. I mean, Fronius you've heard about today, an amazing brand, incredible technical support, and in a lot of cases, just light years ahead in terms of the way they go about their business and the technology and the software that they have. So certainly awesome products. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the week ahead. All the best.